starts, I think I see me over there. One of your monitors, Big Phil. Facebook folks, thank you for tuning in. All the social media will be delayed on, going on radio now. Okay.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last. Free at last. Thank Almighty.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry, No Retreat. I'm Alan Autry, and always so humbled and honored to have you with us today, and just so thankful to just be here, to be talking to y'all. What a blessing to get another day at this thing called life, with all of its troubles, all of its challenges. God's given us another day to do good. And I would suggest that we find some place to just do good. You know, make that phone call that you've been thinking about making, that, you know, that God keeps putting on your mind, you know, that I need to call so-and-so, you know, on my mind, you know, they probably need a little lift me up. Give them that call. I know I'm giving myself that talk this morning. Ken, welcome to you.
Hey,
welcome.
good seeing you, Alan.
You ever thought, you know, it's just sometimes we put such a high bar for happiness in life. I mean, just to get up and take a breath, and you're living in a country called the United States of America, dadgum, what a blessing.
Absolutely. And I'm a big believer that if somebody randomly pops in your mind, that's a message to give them a call.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to be more obedient to God on that.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to love God. Being obedient to God is a little bit different story.
Being obedient in general is a tough one for me. I've worked for you, know.
Lord, you really want me to call that guy and say how he's doing? Do you know what he did to me? Did that dude try to put a knife in my back when I was mayor for 8 years? You want me to call and ask how he's doing? Yes, I do. Okay. But that's, thank God for God. Philip Villanueva, welcome, my brother. We got the trio.
Hey, it's great being back here.
There are 4 amigos. We got 3 of them here. The other one's at the Republican National Convention.
Watching history.
By the way,
yeah.
Kenny, what did you think? And Phil, what did you think about that? I think it went off pretty darn smooth.
I thought so. I thought it was off to a good start. Yeah.
I know who Amber Rose is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, she's really famous. She's they were trying to counsel her. She refused to be counseled.
Yeah.
She got a spot.
I didn't even know who she was. I'm sorry.
She's internet famous, social media.
I didn't know Amber Rose from Axl Rose. I didn't even really know his music even back in the day. But
she's got a good story.
Does she?
Yeah.
Well, she sounded really good. And Van Jones, when he went back, Van Jones was talking about her. And it went back to the CNN booth. I went back and forth from Fox CNN. And it was like a funeral in there. I mean, you know, from the entrance of Trump, how great it was going. I mean, they covered it fairly well. They didn't get out there in Wackoville, and so, but you could tell they were just through gritted teeth admitting that the convention was going on pretty darn good. And when it came back to the studio after this Amber Rose spoke,
right.
I think it was Scott Jennings, who was the token Republican they have on the panel there. He didn't know who she was. I don't think David Axelrod. But Van Jones sitting there with his head down going,
I saw that.
Well, let me tell you who she is. I'm paraphrasing just a little bit. That is the Democrats' worst nightmare that happened tonight. What you just witnessed, that speech, is the Democrats' worst nightmare. You see a woman of color very articulately telling folks why she was in the wrong party and had the wrong ideology.
Right.
I mentioned her daddy, who was in the military, by the way.
Yeah.
Kenny, big military guy. And then he says, and by the way, she's more famous than any of us up here.
That was awesome. I
Did
love
you
that.
see
Yeah, I
that?
saw that.
Yeah.
He said that's the electric changing, basically.
Well, apparently why he said it's the big, he called it a bunker buster, this gal's speech.
That's a good way
last
to put
night, in terms of the Democratic hold,
Yeah.
the liberal hold they think they have on media, on social influencers. I think they're all liberal.
And on certain demographics, they're going to
Yeah.
assume that they've got people of color, they've got women, that it's just a lock, and
especially it seems if you're a social media influencer, so to speak,
Right.
you're, I don't know what the percentage is, but we're led to believe they're primarily liberal.
right?
Even though you have, your conservative folks, if you're looking to get young people, and people like this
Right.
Amber Rose is somebody that's, like I said, the worst nightmare for the
Oh,
Democrat
absolutely.
Party.
And it's, and especially if you're in Southern California, you're in that circle, it is fun to be hip and young and liberal, and a lot of people don't become conservative till they get a little bit older, But I think in her case especially, once somebody told her what she should be doing or thinking, it caused her to dig in deep and look and find out for herself. I think that was the quickest way to get her to identify with being a conservative. If somebody would have told her she had to do it, she'd have never done it.
But did you hear what she said, though?
I have a snippet.
She had the worst thing. I mean, another worst thing for this woke left that tries to destroy the family unit. Been trying to.
Right.
She thanked her father.
Oh yeah.
For opening her eyes, and her father is a military man.
Right.
So apparently they've, weren't on the same page on things. But this young lady's had a chance to think about it, and who knows, maybe even pray on it. And has had this epiphany, and she said, "You people are where I belong."
Yeah.
And she's a woman of color in this room that's predominantly white, saying, I'm not seeing color. I'm seeing people that believe in a lot of the values I believe in, and I feel right at home with you.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling like I'm uneasy because I'm the only, one of the few black people in here,
Right.
which would have been understandable.
Right.
She's saying, no, I've elevated past that. I've transcended that. Who you are inside. I see more than white skin out there. I see people who love God, love their country, want fairness,
Right.
in this country, and I feel at home with you.
Yeah.
And boy, if you got the, might as well put that up.
Yeah.
You haven't found? That's all right. You can look for it. But in the meantime, well, let me tell you a little bit about Kenny. Those who follow the shows, Kenny's been on our show a couple of times, and always thankful for his insights, giving his time to the show here. But Kim, pretty much lifelong, either directly in the military, working with the military on things, law enforcement of various kinds, worked on what they call high threat security details, both in Afghanistan, D.C., and other areas. And I wanted Kenny to come in and talk about this colossal failure on the part of the Secret Service. They're the ones ultimately that were in charge, so the buck's got to stop somewhere, and it's with them. And my goodness, what a colossal failure, which almost cost the life of Donald Trump. But first, I want to show, we have a clip of his interest last night, if you haven't seen it, and I want you to listen. This is a CNN feed, and I want you to hear Chris Wallace. You have Jake Tapper and Chris Wallace talking about this interest, this commentary on Donald Trump's interest. Listen to what Chris Wallace says.
Fight, which is what he said right after the attempted assassination attempt. And you can see the emotion on his face. It looks like possibly even tears on his face. This crowd joyfully welcoming him back after the horrible events over the weekend.
That's a changed man right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we love Trump. I'm sorry. I was having a flashback to the 2000 convention. We love Trump, you're saying. We love Trump. Chris.
Winston Churchill famously said, "Nothing in life is so exhilarating as to be shot at without effect." And you can see that today. The idea that just hours ago, a few days ago, this man An assassin's bullet whizzed by him, hit him in the ear, inches from his temple. And it'd be just by the slightest fraction of an inch. He survived, shot at without effect, and you can see the joy of this crowd. I got to tell you, as somebody who's been covering these conventions since 1964, that may have been the most electric moment I ever saw. That was quite extraordinary. You whether you like the man or not, that was.
Well, I mean, this is a crowd. These are tens of thousands of people who love Donald Trump.
Now listen to what Chris
They
Wallace
almost
says
lost
here.
him. This figure that figures so prominently in their lives.
And it's so interesting tonight. There has been zero talk about the Democrats and rhetoric and political rhetoric and them blaming the media, and it's all been talk about divine providence, a miracle, and I think that's what most of these people view, is that it is by the grace of God that Donald Trump is here tonight and representing them going forward.
Well, I agree with it.
Yeah.
It's I don't believe in something random. I believe that God spared his life. And the old, in the Bible, Genesis 50:20, when Joseph looks to his brothers who tried to kill him, ultimately sold him into slavery, so what you meant for evil, God meant for good.
Right.
And I think that's what we're seeing here with that young boy. Bless his heart. He's somewhere he went off the path, and it's God to determine his fate.
Yeah.
Where his eternal address will be from here on. But we know throughout history, God has used instances like this for his glory.
Yeah.
And it just seems, so we'll just, do you think he's a changed man? He looks, now I know he's tired. It's probably just now setting in. My goodness. I mean, I said the other day on the show, Kenny, you can't have something like this happen to you and stay the same. You're going to change. Change to what? Change to where? I don't know. I guess some people could just get madder than the junkyard dog and want to go back for revenge and some get softer. Some start to look at things differently, think of things differently. Personally, my gut feeling right now, just my gut feeling based on nothing but just my gut, is that he's going to remain the same man in terms of being a fighter for American principles of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and those basic principles that have made America great. But I think his tactics and how he expresses that might change some, and I think it would be definitely for the better. What say you, Kenny?
I would agree. I mean, personally, I've had some near-death experiences in some place like Afghanistan. I'll be honest with you. I was one of those guys that I reacted angrily, to being shot at, and then sometimes I was just having a good time. I was enjoying the dance. Can't explain it. Last year, as you know, I had a run-in with cancer, and it scared the hell out of me. And after that, and I came through it the other side okay. Fortunately, thanks to God. It made me look at things differently, and I think that's the way he's going to look at it. I think he's going to take his responsibilities. Some of my criticisms of him in the past was not taking some of these leadership responsibilities more seriously. Words matter. The impressions that you put out there, he would do some great things, and then he would say some things to completely, play into the hands of the other side, or diminish the good work that he had done. And I think I'm hoping we'll see some changes, and I think it'll change how he looks at things and his perception of things now. The other side did a very good job of dehumanizing him for political purposes. So there are a lot of people that simply see this as, especially people on the edge, like this young man. I think they're doing a public service by taking a shot at him.
Yeah, no doubt. Another thing's got to be weighing on him, too, as he thinks about this. And he said he should be a dead man. He shouldn't be here, is what he said last night.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here. So that God's really at work on him.
Yeah.
And it's probably just now setting in totally as what has happened.
Yeah.
And to think that he came within 1 millimeter of being gone, leaving his 18-year-old son without a daddy, his wife without a husband, all that stuff. But there's also the reality, the very impactful reality that bullets meant for him took a man's life. A good man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this fireman, by all accounts, was just a special human being. He dove on to protect his family and was hit. That's got to weigh on you, that somebody, you know, a bullet meant for him took somebody else.
Right.
He gets to live while the other man dies, is basically the family living out what could have easily been him.
Right.
As you process all of this, my goodness, it's got to change you. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't want to see strong, hard, robust debate on politics leave this country. No. That's the first thing that tyrants and dictators and the communists want to take from you.
Right.
No debate. Our country was founded on it, on
Right.
debate, and sometimes very heated debate.
Right.
I mean, they used to do duels back then, Hamilton
Right.
and Dream with Byrne. But I think you can still have that. I know you can, because I grew up in that era where you go see the Nixon-Kennedy debate, the first one I remember. And you can, don't you think, Kenny, you can be strong. You can be firm. You can, I've got no problem with somebody losing their temper. I wouldn't think it was be a good political strategy, but I mean, there's righteous anger. If you want to call, I don't think it's nice, but calling somebody a name or saying, you know, you're an idiot or this, that, I think it's, but to call somebody Hitler,
Right.
call somebody Stalin,
that's crossing the
Go
line.
ahead.
And
What's
a
your
lot of
thoughts?
these Americans, and I have a good friend I worked with in TV here in town. Super nice guy, sweet as can be. And I saw he posted on his social media a comparison for Hitler. And I called him up. I said, man, you wouldn't know evil if you saw it. You've never left America. You've lived here in this bubble. And I'm like, and to make that comparison, I'm like,
and
you're
you've
way off.
seen evil
I've seen evil.
over in
Okay.
Iraq and Afghanistan.
Right. You know, I mean, Trump's a lot of things. He's got his shortcomings like we all do, but he is not Hitler. And that is just meant to dehumanize. And you remember when Jimmy Fallon had him on the show during the election the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Fallon caught all that heat. And one of their complaints was that you were humanizing him. They didn't like the fact that Jimmy Fallon was having a good time with him on air and was humanizing him. So he couldn't be on SNL anymore and having a good time. Couldn't be on with Jimmy Fallon anymore and having a good time because they wanted to dehumanize him. And they've done that successfully. Disagree with him or not, that's one thing. But you don't have to dehumanize your political opponent.
Because you can do things when you dehumanize two people that you've dehumanized.
Right.
That's why they're not human anymore. There you can, and if you buy into that Trump is Hitler, Mussolini, what have you, then, like you said, you think you're a hero for stopping him, taking him. And that's why I winced. I really did. And I got taken wrong on this. I got a few emails saying I was a Putin apologist. I love Putin, and I want Russia to win.
Oh, yeah.
Which I do not.
Right.
But when I made a statement that Biden shouldn't be going around saying world leaders like Putin should be taken out by their own people, you don't call for assassinations of foreign leaders like a Putin or a Xi Jinping. There's a whole different dynamic going there, and you open up, you cross a line there, then why are you not fair game
right
for others? I mean, you've dehumanized these people. Right. Yeah, they've got to be confronted,
sure,
and stopped. But you don't call for the people to assassinate their leader of a country just because you don't agree with their policies, even if they invade another country. That's
Sure.
just my belief. Anyway. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We're going to talk about the security breakdown with an expert on security, Ken Shockley. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Coming right back.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
I love this song. I love the Stones, man. They're still touring.
Oh, wow.
Well, they're not really touring. They're playing someplace in the South. But like Mick Jagger's 80.
Yeah.
Ron Woods is 80.
Still getting it done.
And they're still getting it done in there.
They're still out there getting it done.
I'm loving it. I am loving it. Okay. Before we get to the security break, I want to ask you. You talk about this politically, because you can't help but talk about it politically.
Right.
The ramifications of this, how it's going to change the direction of an election, how much or if it will, and there's so many aspects to this. Reagan, back before he got shot, it was very difficult for him to get anything. I don't think he was getting anything through Congress. He got shot. He recovered. A lot of people remember him waving from the window, came back in and never mentioned being shot ever during his whole rest of his term. He wanted to get the country past that. He was able to get a lot of legislation done because a lot of goodwill was with him. That certainly is going to factor in. Is it going to be enough to win the election for Trump? And I'm sure he would have picked any other way to get some favorability other than almost having his head blown off and somebody getting killed, okay? But it is what it is. It's happened. And what do you see this doing to the direction of this election? Does it help Trump, keep Trump the same? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think ironically it's humanized him again. They spent years dehumanizing him. We were just talking about that. And I think it's humanized him again. I think it's grounded him. I think it's, I know you'll find this hard to believe, but sometimes elected officials can get a little bit of the big head. Yeah, a little ego, a little big head. And I think it's actually grounded him and humbled him a little bit as well, which I think it would do to anybody, any near-death experience like that. And the fact that someone died as a result of someone else trying to kill him. Man, that's a hard thing to. That's a hard.
So
thing
how
to
do you
bear.
think that transfers politically? I don't think you're going to have. My thoughts on it is, hey, it wouldn't surprise me if Biden wins. There's a lot of Democrats out there that they used to call yellow dog Democrats, meaning they would vote for a yellow dog Democrat rather than a Republican. And I'm sure it goes for some people on the Republican side too.
Sure. That
they're not going to vote for a Democrat. But I think it could soften the animosity, the hate towards Trump,
right,
combined with Biden just not being the candidate that many on the left want,
right,
that it could keep people on that thing called the couch and not turn out. They're not going to vote for Trump even with this, but I think it's maybe softened them enough to say, prior to this, it was like, I don't like Biden.
Well,
I wish Gavin Newsom was in there, but I hate Trump so much, I'm going to turn out and I'm going to bring 10 people with me because I hate Trump so much. Now they hate Trump, but not to the point of, I'm just saying some people. Yeah. And could that be enough in what promises to be a razor-thin election to tilt it in Trump's favor? I know that's talking about that in these kind of terms after this tragedy. It is, but that's the reality we're living in.
I think this helps him. I do. I think this helps him, and I think also the cost of gasoline and groceries and the fiasco of what our overseas situations looks like. I think it all helps him. And there are a lot of people that will openly say one thing about Donald Trump, but compared to Joe Biden and what that next 4 years, that uncertainty that looks like, and especially now that Trump has brought on J.D. Vance, if something happens to him.
I like that choice. What do you think?
Oh, I like it. I like him a lot. He's a smart guy, and he started out as a Democrat. Grew up poor, just poor white trash, not unlike myself. I can relate with the guy. Nothing was given to him.
Trash there blowing with you too.
Oh yeah, I can relate with him. Nothing's given to him. He doesn't like being told that things were given to him because of the color of his skin. I can relate with that as well.
Have you seen the movie Hillbilly Elegy?
I haven't seen the movie, but
it's
I read his book.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Book was great.
Glenn Close does a great job as his grandma.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I'll have to watch it.
You got to watch it.
The book was moving. I could relate to a lot of it. I have generations of family that grew up on welfare.
See,
I could relate to what he's went through. I mean, when you hired me for me to go from where I was in Fresno, in Cowwa and Butler Park, to working in the mayor's office, it was unbelievable for me.
What did you expect from a Riverdale boy?
Well, that's true.
Come on, man. We had to stick together.
Yeah.
This
That's
man,
true.
by the way, did such a great job as our public
Yeah.
information director. The day he left, I mean, I was ripping my heart out, But you know what I think? And again, it's gut feeling. I don't have inside dope on this at all.
Right.
But I think a possible scenario, there was buzz, J.D. Vance, Burgum, Rubio, and I'd heard from pretty reliable sources that he was leaning Burgum because he was kind of like a Mike Pence, no threat, no personality,
Right.
kind of just to get things done guy, a classic number 2 guy.
Right.
They have a rule in politics about vice presidential picks. Pick someone who does no harm.
Right.
So you just get him there. In this case, he's only got 4 years, Trump.
Right.
And if he wants the MAGA movement to move forward, you've got to have somebody that embodies a lot of his philosophies, which J.D. Vance does. But also, I think, because word was that he had not had it narrowed down to his pick when he went up to the podium in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I'm thinking he's going, you know what? I am going to change the tone because he tore up the speech he was going to give,
Right.
which is going to be coming out hell at Democrats,
Yeah.
typical Trump. And then he says, I'm going to go a different direction. But so you may have a strong Trump, but a different kind of Trump, which we would all like to see. You just mentioned.
Yeah.
Drop some of these adjectives you're using. Stop giving people nicknames
Right.
that are demeaning, and get out there and keep fighting. But fight the good fight, as Apostle Paul says. You're going to have your hands full over trying to get the Ukraine conflict settled, Middle East, inflation, all of these policy things. You only got 4 years. But you still want the fighter.
Right.
So I'm thinking, with J.D. Vance, you got the pit bull that could kind of be the old Trump but better instincts. Like when he came out with his statement after the shooting, he came out and said Biden's rhetoric contributed to this.
Absolutely.
When everybody was being measured on there, and he pushed that envelope right to the edge. That's kind of like Trump.
Well,
so do you think maybe he's saying, I got this pit bull now that can do my fighting and put out the tweets that I used to put out, but I'm not going to put out anymore?
I would say J.D. Vance isn't a pit bull. He's an academic he's got a sharp mind.
Oh yeah,
he's a
smart pit
he is
bull.
a philosopher with a right cross.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's not a lot of them out there,
right?
He can go toe to toe with any academic, and he's got the physicality to back it up. It's not just words, but he is a smart guy, and I think that's what he needs in terms of balance for Trump. Trump does a lot of good things, but he just can't. There's no eloquence to it. I was not a fan of Barack Obama, but I like to listen to him speak. Right?
Yeah.
What a great order.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Trump doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I think J.D. Vance brings a little bit of that, to the table.
I think he brings a lot of that.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think J.D. Vance is a legacy for Trump. I think they're very different people. He was an anti-Trumper at one time. He was, never Trumper.
They say what did it for him was Donald Jr.
Right.
Don Jr. and him struck up a really strong friendship.
Sure. And
Don Jr. has a lot of influence with his daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of influence. And I'm thinking, Don Jr., boy, wouldn't that be a ticket in 2028? J.D. Vance president, Don Jr. vice president. I'm thinking getting a little ahead of the game here, but I think that's a possibility.
There's some alternate personalities out there that I think J.D. Vance coming on board, I think he brings around. I'm also a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard.
I like her.
I think somebody like her, I think J.D. Vance opens the door for somebody like her engaging as well. There are a lot of folks out there that aren't your typical candidate or your typical, and you get when you bring in untypical or non-typical individuals, you get different results, right? When you brought me on board to come work for you, I wasn't like your previous folks that had worked for you. I came from a different background, and I wasn't a TV reporter full-time or an anchor. I was the guy behind the scenes doing the work, so I didn't mind doing the heavy lifting. I was used to it. And we got some extraordinary results. We did some great things. So I think bringing in those non-traditional candidates, you're going to get some good results. And I'm excited, and I like the academic mind of J.D. Vance. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does.
A very unique blend, as you said, an intellectual with a right cross. I don't think it was intellectually the word you used, but he's very, very smart. He's extremely well-spoken and a great debater.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him hold his own on CNN without putting off people. I mean, you get, it's almost like Obama-esque. You slice and dice.
Right.
You haven't realized you've been sliced and diced, and you got to be careful how you react to it because the point was so well taken and delivered with such skill that you have to think how you respond.
Right.
And I think that's what the country's looking for.
Right.
You know, that kind of debate.
Right.
Good, strong debate. He's extremely intelligent, and his story, though you know that his heart is still with the working class folks. Yeah, he went to Ohio State, first person in his family, I think, to even go to college. Went to Yale Law School. Then goes to work for these finance companies, these top finance. I think that's a beautiful blend. And then the military.
Don't forget, he was a member of the world's most extreme fraternity, the United States Marine Corps. Yeah. You know, I loved working with those guys.
Yeah, so, I mean, what a blend.
Yeah.
Well, you usually have one or two of those, but to have all of them, so I think, I mean, I'm glad he's got the beard. I'm not a big fan of the beard. I love yours.
Yeah.
But, you know, you take his, you know, you shave him, he's looking like Opie Taylor.
Yeah.
He's too young looking. I mean,
I mean, when I grew mine, it was for necessity overseas.
I can't grow one.
Oh, really?
I got that Indian in me. Too much Indian.
Yeah. No, I can snap a finger, it's there.
Oh, man, I'm jealous. Okay, let's get to this. One of the reasons I want to have you on the show, and by the way, you're welcome anytime you want to come, Kenny. We'd be blessed to have you. But this security breakdown, I said on the show yesterday, we need to listen to the folks that know about this. Whether you like Dan Bongino or hate him, whatever, you need to listen to him. And there's somebody on the left, if a military or a Secret Service agent who's a diehard Democrat, come on, I would want to listen to them, analyze this in terms of what breakdown occurred, how it occurred, and my goodness, what you do to make sure it doesn't happen again. But to me, Kenny, on this diagram, I think Phil just put up there, I said it wouldn't take an expert to say, you would want to make sure that building, which is in close proximity to the president, about 130 yards.
Right.
You look for the upper ground. Didn't we learn from, Lee Harvey Oswald, from Texas Book Depository, that shot from above, shooting down is one of the easiest shots that you would have. And why in the world did they miss that?
You know, okay, declination. I've been to some shooting schools. Declination does make it the angled shooting. Okay, there's some math that goes into that. So this kid was just up there, and it's what they say is 130 yards.
130 yards.
130 yards
on a rooftop.
That's not an easy shot to make. The fact that he came as close as he did to a headshot. I mean, if we're just speaking black and white. I mean, he nicked his ear. Right?
Well, I'm seeing the talking heads are saying it's a gimme shot. But you're saying it's got to be you're disagreeing with that.
I can take you out to the range. I can let you shoot one of my guns. We'll set up that same distance, and we'll see how close you can come to a headshot at that range. Yeah. It's not a gimme shot. It's easy to say that. Now, the weapon that he was using will do it all day long. It's the user. Okay. I was a little surprised that a 20-year-old kid with no formalized training that we're aware of came as close as he did. He damn near got a headshot off on the President of the United States. Now, to the fact that he wasn't detected for as long as he was, there's a breakdown in communications.
That's the point. Why wasn't that taken care of in the initial when he send the team in there and you're going, okay, there's a likely spot for a sniper. There's another one. Why in the world would you not see that?
Honestly, I'm surprised.
Because you've got to think, wouldn't you, as a Secret Service agency, that you're not going to get a 20-year-old who just graduated from high school with no training.
Right.
You're going to get the guy that's the lead sniper from the Revolutionary Guard India who came over the porous border, who's I mean, you could in that environment out in Pennsylvania. That's where I lived when I lived on the East Coast. I lived in PA, not in this area, a different area. But
There's so many trees. There's so many. I mean, you could have sent a trained sniper, could have been 1,000 yards out and made that shot. But a kid climbing that roof, given that opportunity, I mean, they're just lucky the way it turned out it did.
Yeah,
and they should have been covering the roof, and that would have been part of the outer perimeter.
Right.
Okay, so they should have been coordinating with local law enforcement, and then the response. I've seen the interviews of individuals who say, we saw him climbing up there, we let the cops know. And I'm hearing now that one cop actually did climb up there, stuck his head up, and had to duck down quickly.
Yeah.
And then you see the video of the counter sniper team get laying eyes on. Now, I hear through the rumor mill, too, that one counter sniper up there in the elevated position, he was waiting for the green light.
Had he spotted him already?
They reported, they turned their guns, and he was waiting for the green light when the shots were fired. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've heard.
Well, there's another breakdown.
Okay, but you hear how this is. And of course, in this day and age, too, you shoot somebody on a roof, and it's the wrong guy. You got multiple agencies out there, and this kid's wearing, somebody's pointed, see how he's wearing one of the kind of T-shirts that you see the military guys wearing a lot of military veterans will wear with the American flag. That might have been just to put people off. Who knows? I mean, if you're on that scope, you're on that optic, and you're on that counter sniper team, and you see a guy on the roof with a military-style rifle wearing a military shirt with the American flag on it, maybe you don't want to pull the trigger because what's friendly fire? That's a bad thing. Blue on blue.
But then again, if you should know, we don't have anybody on that roof.
Right. No, they should have.
Because when they laid that out in quadrants,
yeah.
Say this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and that building's on quadrant 5, and they make a decision not to put anything on that building on quadrant 5, suddenly a person with the guns on the roof of quadrant 5, you got to take them out, right?
Right, absolutely. No, this was a failure. I mean, nobody should have been allowed to get in that position. Nobody with a firearm should have been even in the outer perimeter. Pennsylvania and that type of area is tough. Because you could have put a guy in a tree stand.
Why didn't they have a drone in the air?
I don't know. And I don't know. And I don't want to get too much into their TTPs, their tactics. Okay. I wouldn't want to put stuff out there on the air. I worked for a different organization in D.C. I've worked with these guys. Had a good time. Met a few of them. Great guys. Great professionals.
But it's not them.
No. It's the support. It's the leadership.
Yes.
It's leadership.
When they went out and looked at this.
Right.
I mean, I heard a quote from a former Secret Service agent last night. I forget what station it was on. But he said literally a 7th grader would have come in and said, hey, there's a good place to kill the president. I mean, and it was not somehow they missed it.
And people can get complacent.
And let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This is why it's so that it almost cost the life of a president and did kill someone and wounded somebody else is bad enough.
Right.
But dadgummit, this is the kind of incompetence, if that's what it is, just incompetence, that gives people a reason to perpetuate and strengthen this deep state theory that they're out to get Trump.
Right.
That this deep state, I mean, there's people out there saying right now, they tried to impeach him twice over nothing, over misdemeanors that were literally trumped up to felonies.
Right.
On a phone call with Zelensky, they've got these 4 lawsuits against him trying to kick him out of office. They've called him Hitler. They want him dead. Was this a setup by the deep state to get rid of somebody who said, I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean house?
Yeah.
Now, do I think that happened? Now, I'm going to have people take that little snippet and run it all. That's why people are very hesitant and scared to even say that. But I don't have enough time left on the planet to be scared when about something like this, because I believe it's that important. You can't have stuff like this happen because there is such a deep. I want to have a higher level of trust for my government.
Right.
I don't have it right now. I don't have it, and this the Biden administration, the Obama administration, back to back, didn't do anything to increase my faith.
Right.
Do I think this was a setup? I don't think so. But how in the hell do you make up a big argument against it when it's so obvious? A rooftop 130 yards away. You say it was a difficult shot. I'm not discount that maybe
I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a tough shot.
But you get somebody who is a good shot.
Right.
And that's what you have to assume, not that you're going to have a bad shot. If you put the president's life in a chance in the hands of whether somebody's a good shot or a bad shot.
Nobody should be allowed
at 130 yards.
Yeah, and anybody with a little bit of training can make that shot all day long. But for a 20-year-old kid to get up, and now I've seen you make a similar shot on horseback with a scoped rifle on in heat of the night.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do when that script says you can.
Yeah.
This is reality. When that script says you can't.
That breath control you exercised to make that shot was amazing. But but on the serious side, no, it's not as easy a shot as people are trying to make it out to be. It's just not. Okay, that round. If it was 5.56, it's a high velocity round. You can throw those shots pretty easily, right? But conversely, for a trained shooter, it's an easy shot all day long. Myself, I'm somewhere in between. Some days I have great days, some days I have bad days. Yeah, there's in Afghanistan.
There he is. There's my man.
We were using AK-47s, and we used a mix of weapons. So those shots, like that guy right there, they tried to kill him a couple times. He was
in the middle?
Yeah, in the middle. That's an Afghan general. He was head of the Afghan Air Force. They threw a grenade into his quarters while we were having dinner with him. They did a number of things trying to take him out. I don't know what happened to him after the country fell. I wish I knew.
But we started on that.
Yeah, good guy. But I've seen some crazy things. I've seen some tough things. But yeah, that shot is it's not an easy shot to make unless you're trained, and you know what you're doing.
So I think we can safely surmise, at least on this show, that the failure was in the upper echelon, the planning.
Oh,
they missed the spot.
Yeah,
should have been. This is where I differ from Dan Bongino. Dan says, "Don't tell me anything that they did, Secret Service, was proper and it worked right." Well, okay, from your vantage point, you have a right, and I respect your thoughts on that. But what I saw when the president went down, and I saw these Secret Service people just jump on him,
right.
No guns drawn. That was not their job.
Right.
They had other guys and women with guns to protect them. Their job was to put their body on the president and take any other bullets for the president.
Yeah.
And they did that well. Would you like to have that job?
Yeah.
I mean, my hat goes off to them because they were there. You see them putting hands. You're trying to keep the president safe, and the president saying, "Give me my shoes. I want to talk to the crowd." And we got it up there right now. If you notice, not any when they bring him up there, not one of these Secret Service people that are protecting him has their gun drawn.
No, their backs to the threat, and they're just waiting for that round to hit. Should it hit? And they're trying to get him off the X, right? They're trying to get him out of there. And he's wanting to, now he's mad, which I always thought was an interesting response. I wouldn't have thought that from him. I would have thought he'd have been like, get me the heck out of here and run. No, he wanted to make a fist. Commendable, I get it. But at the same time, you got people risking their lives to get you out of there. So get off the stage, get the hell out of there.
Well, at one point, they said shoot her down.
Yeah. Well, but you don't know if the threat is still there.
Okay, I got you.
Okay. You don't know how many shooters. You don't know how many shooters there are. You don't know for sure if the threat's over. At this point, the only thing you want to do is get him in that vehicle and get to your safe house. You've got an established, point. In this case, they're taking him to the hospital. You want to get him out of there. See, now there you go.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Now those are heroes.
Yeah.
Those are heroes. You want that job, folks?
Yeah.
No guns. They got the guns out here.
Yeah.
They don't know what a second assassin there.
Right.
Look at that. I tell you, that's
great picture.
Those are my heroes. That I think. What do you think? I think they performed excellently.
I think his body people did a great job.
Now I'm going to ask you this because we have to wait for it to come out. That sniper, our sniper, the good guy sniper.
Mm-hmm.
I froze frame the shot at my house, and I went in and looked, and on his back he had police. Now, does that mean what I think that means? That was a local or a mutual aid? It was.
He could have been secret.
FBI?
So Secret Service, bunch of different divisions. He could have been a local cop assigned to the task force. I would imagine that in this case he is part of their uniformed branch because if you
why would he have police on site and not FBI or
the Secret Service have police on their uniforms? You see the guys.
They do. Okay.
You see the guys out in front of the White House in uniform wearing the white shirts or the blue shirts. They have police on all their stuff. So
thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, that's pretty common. I went one time. Our team helped with some stuff in the area of the White House, and we had to have something that said we weren't police officers. That said law enforcement.
That dude's a hero too.
Oh yeah, no, No,
if you don't get the guy, you don't know how many rounds he's going to shoot
he
off.
put him down, and he did make a tough shot. Because remember, he's laying at that angle. You pulled up that great photo earlier. He's laying at the only thing exposed on the shooter is the shooter's head and the weapon, right? Because he's laying at that angle. So, yeah, that counter sniper, he made a hell of a shot.
Wow.
Yeah, a shooting's not as easy. I know a lot of people see the movies and everything's great, and they make it, they slow it down, and snipers shooting each other through scopes, and yeah, it's not that easy. It's just not. You can say what you want. I mean, the best I ever got at it was when point shooting kicks in. After a while, when I was in Afghanistan and I was seeing a lot of action where it just becomes second nature, where you're just throwing the front sight up there and pulling the trigger because you're doing it so much. These aim shots are tough to make. There's a lot of math that goes into it. Even at a shorter range shot like that, there's still math.
Do you think that maybe as this time comes out, we'll hear the guy, obviously, that he had to look over there and see, man, that would be a good spot. Do you think maybe he went over there and was cognitive of that? Maybe that it was in his ring, and then when it happened, he may have been ready. Because they had to be surveying, right?
Yeah.
As the sniper, you're constantly surveying. I bet that's going to come out in the investigation.
The counter sniper?
Yeah.
Oh, no. That guy on the roof, if I was on the counter sniper team, you're going to watch, because you're going to want to think like a sniper would, right?
Right.
You're going to be looking right up there, and you're going to be watching that.
Saying if somebody came on there, if somebody pokes up, because he reacted quick.
He did. I just hope I hope his reaction wasn't delayed. I hope he wasn't waiting for permission.
Well, we're going to find out because the House said we're going to move right now on it. Right. Ken Shockley, I love you, brother. Thank you for being in. We're going to have Kenny back. I know you all love him, judging by the emails every time we have him on. You can't get enough of this guy. Neither can I. Philip, thank you for what you do, brother. Guillermo Marino, I know you're listening. We love you and miss you, brother. Keep on having a good time at RNC. And, folks, just do your best. Let God do the rest. And I promise you it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Love y'all. Bye-bye now.